Hey everyone, Martin here, and welcome back to another Top 10 video. This time, we're continuing our little chain. We're back with Pokemon.
Always right or wrong, as long as your spirit's strong. It's not always win-lose, it's the road you choose. The answer's within.
If you missed the previous Pokemon list, click my channel to check them out. But now, let's head west to Unova. Some basic rules for the list. Number 1 is obvious, but only the 156 Pokemon introduced in Gen 5 will be counted. 2. This is based on my personal time with these Pokemon, i.e. training, using them throughout the game, etc. 3. Remember that this is my own personal list, so if your favorite one isn't on here, then you can keep sharing your list in the comments below. With all that out of the way, let's get started.
Let the journey begin, Pokemon.
There were a lot of cool Pokemon in the Unova region, and spotting the really cool ones is as easy as 1, 2, 3. The brutal Pokemon that attacks anything that moves, Hydreigon, starts off this list. Hydreigon wasn't really used on any team of mine until Pokemon X, where I caught one late into my adventure. And I'm surprised it took me until the generation after it was introduced to actually have one on my team. With the fairly even stats, with the special attack being the highest, it isn't too bad of a Pokemon to have on a team. Combine that with the 6 resistances and 2 immunities, it can go against a fair amount of opponents. But it does have a good amount of weaknesses, along with the horrible weakness to fairy types. So let's see if there's any moves that can help even the odds. From level up, we have moves like Tri-Attack, Dragon Breath, Crunch, Dragon Pulse, Body Slam, Dragon Rush, Hyper Voice, Outrage, and Hyper Beam. Not much for covering weaknesses, so let's move on to the TMs. For TMs, we got moves like Fire Spin, Rock Slide, Steel Wing, Fly, Payback, the Elemental Fang moves, Thunder Fang, Ice Fang, and Fire Fang, Acrobatics, Bulldoze, and Breaking Swipe. There's also tutor moves like Dual Wing Beat, Scale Shot, and, of course, Draco Meteor. And for TRs, there's moves like Flamethrower, Surf, Iron Tail, Heat Wave, Dark Pulse, Focus Blast, Zen Headbutt, Flash Cannon, Stone Edge, and Throat Chop. Hydreigon is a powerful Pokemon with a diverse moveset, but due to using it so little, it couldn't make it that high on the list.
Let the journey begin, Pokemon.
Sometimes to find a cool Pokemon, you need to go lurking in the shadows. The Pokemon built to protect others, Golurk takes my number 9 spot. Golurk has been on a few teams of mine over the years, originally being on one of my Pokemon Y teams, and then on my starting team in Pokemon Sword. And it isn't that bad of a Pokemon to have on a team. While it's lacking in the special attack and speed stats, the HP and attack stats make it so it can deal some real damage against the opponent. And while it does have a few immunities in its favor, it also has a fair share of weaknesses, so let's go over some attacks. From level up, we have moves like Stomping Tantrum, Shadow Punch, High Horsepower, Mega Punch, Heavy Slam, Focus Punch, Phantom Force, Hammer Arm, Earthquake, and Dynamic Punch. For TMs, we got moves like Dig, Brick Break, Rock Slide, the Elemental Punches, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch, Drain Punch, Fly, Low Sweep, and Bulldoze. There's also tutor moves like Superpower, Zen Headbutt, Signal Beam, Shockwave, Poltergeist, and Scorching Sands. And for TRs, we got moves like Low Kick, Psychic, Close Combat, Stone Edge, Heat Crash, Darkest Lariat, and Body Press. Golurk may be a powerful Pokemon that has some good moves it can learn, but with the lacking in defense and speed stats, the weaknesses, and for how little I actually used it in the playthroughs I had it on, it couldn't make it that high. I think I'm bugging some people with my choice of favorites on previous lists. Well, I think this one will bug them even more. The Pokemon that uses Shocking Silk to stun foes, Galvantula, takes my number 8 spot. Galvantula was a surprise addition to this list, with the most recent time using it being in Pokemon Shield, where it was a part of my main team. And like a lot of other Pokemon, I'm surprised it took me so long to use one. With the high special attack and speed stats, it's a fairly good electric type for your team, and even with the dual typing of electric and bug, it only has 2 weaknesses to deal with. So now, let's move on to the attacks. From Level Up, we have moves like Bug Bite, Thunder Wave, Sucker Punch, Discharge, Bug Buzz, and its former signature move, Electro Web. For TMs, we got moves like Pin Missile, Giga Drain, Bounce, Cross Poison, Swift, and Volt Switch. There's also some tutor and breeding moves like Infestation, Lunge, Poison Sting, Struggle Bug, Rising Voltage, and Skitter Smack. And for TRs, there's moves like Thunderbolt, Leech Life, Poison Jab, X-Scissor, Energy Ball, Wild Charge, and Electro Ball. And a burp. Galvantula is a really good electric and or bug type for your team, but being used so recently, it couldn't make it that high on the list. I still like it though. So everything so far has been tough, fierce-looking Pokemon. How about something fluffier? The Pokemon that seems to be more cotton than body, Whimsicott, takes my number 7 spot. That rhymed. While Whimsicott was only on one team of mine, being an I think Ultra Sun, I can't remember honestly, it was certainly one heck of a grass type to have on my team. In terms of stats, speed is the highest, with everything else being fairly even. Second to at least bring up is the weaknesses. It has a total of 5 weaknesses, with poison being times 4, but it does have 6 resistances and immunity to dragon, so that's a plus. Third is the ability that my personal Whimsicott had, Prankster, which makes it so status moves have a priority in battle. So moves like Stun Spore, Poison Powder, and Leech Seed can really help get a leg up on the opponent. Speaking of moves, let's go over some attacks. From Level Up, we have moves like Razor Leaf, Fairy Wind, Giga Drain, Energy Ball, and the Sunny Day Solar Beam combo. For TMs, we got moves like Protect, Rest, Attract, Grassy Terrain, Misty Terrain, Round, and Swift, with Knockoff, Tailwind, and Grassy Glide via Move Tutor. And for TRs, we got moves like Grass Knot, Substitute, Seed Bomb, and Dazzling Gleam. While Whimsicott may be good for status moves, it couldn't really stand up against what's left on the list. I still like it though. The starter Pokemon. Such lovable creatures. And Gen 5 had some pretty good starters. So, of course, at least one of them had to be on the list. And if you know me by now, you know who it is. The final evolution of the fire starter Pokemon, Tepig, Emboar, takes my number 6 spot. Yes, I'm one of those people who likes Emboar, despite being the 3rd firefighting starter Pokemon in a row. I mean, I didn't really care all that much when Black and White came out, and I still didn't care when the sequels came out. While not as fast as the previous 2 firefighters, Emboar makes up for that with a higher attack and speed stat. And with the same firefighting typing, it has the same 4 weaknesses to deal with. So, let's get to the attacks. From Level Up, we have moves like Arm Thrust, Flame Charge, Rollout, Assurance, Flamethrower, Head Smash, Flare Blitz, and his former signature move, Heat Crash. For TMs, we got moves like the Sunny Day Solar Beam combo, Smackdown, Earthquake, Brick Break, Rock Tomb, Low Sweep, Scald, Stone Edge, Gyro Ball, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, and Wild Charge. There's also some breeding and tutor moves like Heavy Slam, Burn Up, Magnitude, Sucker Punch, Superpower, Thrash, Fire Punch, Iron Head, Heat Wave, Iron Tail, Stomping Tantrum, Thunder Punch, Zen Headbutt, Fire Pledge, and, of course, Blast Burn. Emboar, despite being the 3rd firefighting starter in a row, is still a really good Pokemon to have on your team. But even with everything at its disposal, it couldn't make it that high on the list. I bet you didn't think this one would end up here. The Master of Illusions, Zoroark, takes my number 5 spot. With its debut in its own movie, similar to Lucario, it gained a lot of people's attention right away. And while locked away through an event in the original Black and White, and only available through an in-game event in the sequels, that didn't stop me from liking it and using it in Ultra Moon. And I was glad to have finally used it on a team. With the high offensive and speed stats, it can really get some damage in against the opponent. But it is lacking in the defensive and HP stats, so it's a bit of a glass cannon. But with the illusion ability, it can really trip up opponents into hitting it with a different attack than the 3 weaknesses it has, like tricking them into hitting you with a psychic type move, which has no effect at all. But when you're found out, you better have some good moves to fight back with. From Level Up, we have moves like Night Slash, Knockoff, U-Turn, Foul Play, and its former signature move, Night Days. For TMs, we got moves like Dig, Assurance, Bounce, Revenge, Payback, Shadow Claw, Hex, Retaliate, and Snarl. There's also some breeding and tutor moves like Counter, Extrasensory, Sucker Punch, Burning Jealousy, Lash Out, and Skitter Smack. And for TRs, there's moves like Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, Grass Knot, Focus Blast, and Throat Chop. Zoroark is one heck of a Pokemon to have on your team, but even with all the hype behind it, it couldn't make it that high on the list. I still like it though. This particular Pokemon was the ideal choice. The mascot for Pokemon White, the deep black Pokemon, Zekrom, takes my number 4 spot. Zekrom was a bit of an odd experience for me because when I first played Pokemon Black, I never thought that N would actually get it onto his team. But my first experience with Zekrom was actually the Spring 2012 event Zekrom, where I actually got to use one at full power right away. I never got Pokemon White. And it's certainly one heck of a legendary Pokemon. With the high attack stat and everything else not too far behind, it can really get some damage in against the opponent. And with only 4 weaknesses to deal with, it can go against a lot of Pokemon. Now, let's get to the attacks. From Level Up, we have moves like Dragon Breath, Zen Headbutt, Thunderbolt, Dragon Claw, Agent Power, Thunder Fang, Outrage, and its 2 signature moves, Fusion Bolt and Bolt Strike. For TMs, we got moves like Thunder Punch, Fly, Payback, Shadow Claw, Steel Wing, Rock Slide, Brutal Swing, and Breaking Swipe. There's also some tutor moves like Earth Power, Dragon Pulse, Signal Beam, Dual Wing Beat, Rising Voltage, Scale Shot, and, of course, Draco Meteor. And for TRs, we got moves like Thunder, Psychic, Crunch, Shadow Ball, Flash Cannon, Stone Edge, Focus Blast, Electro Ball, Body Press, and Wild Charge. Zekrom is certainly a good Pokemon to have on a team, but due to me not using it that often, it couldn't make it that high on the list. As much as I like Zekrom, to tell the truth, the mascot for Pokemon Black, the vast white Pokemon, Reshiram, takes my number 3 spot. This shouldn't have been that much of a surprise when I said I played Pokemon Black and I never got Pokemon White. And this was another Pokemon to continue my love for fire types. With a bit of an inverse stats compared to Zekrom, with a high special attack instead of attack, with the other stats not being too far behind. And it actually has less weaknesses than Zekrom, with only 3 weaknesses, and the typical Ice and Fairy weaknesses are negated due to the fire typing. So it can stand a better chance against them in a fight compared to Zekrom. So let's see what attacks it can dish out. From Level Up, we have moves like Dragon Breath, Extra Sensory, Flamethrower, Dragon Pulse, Ancient Power, Fire Fang, Outrage, and its 2 signature moves, Fusion Flare and Blue Flare. For TMs, we got moves like Fly, the Sunny Day Solar Beam combo, Rock Slide, Payback, Shadow Claw, Brutal Swing, Breaking Swipe, and Mystical Fire. There's also some tutor moves like Earth Power, Heat Wave, Dual Wing Beat, Scale Shot, Scorching Sands, and, of course, Draco Meteor. And for TRs, there's moves like Fire Blast, Psychic, Dragon Claw, Crunch, Flare Blitz, Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, Zen Headbutt, Stone Edge, Body Press, and Heat Crash. While similar to Zekrom in a lot of ways, with the few advantages Reshiram has, along with a lot more time spent with it on my team, it was just enough to get ahead of Zekrom. But it wasn't enough to make it higher than this. I still like it though. Howdy doody. The Pokemon that uses souls to fuel its fire, Chandelure, takes my number 2 spot. Now, one of the main reasons I have this Pokemon over Reshiram is because I spend a lot more time with Chandelure compared to Reshiram. I have a Chandelure for a post-game Pokemon in Sword, but it was also part of my main team in Shield. And I actually played a little bit of Chandelure in Pokken Tournament too. In terms of stats, Special Attack is the way to go, with the other stats being fairly even across the board, save for the attack stat. And being part Ghost, it has 2 immunities, but also adds 2 weaknesses, giving it a total of 5. So let's deal with those weaknesses with some attacks. From Level Up, we have moves like Nightshade, Fire Spin, Confuse Ray, Shadow Ball, Overheat, and Inferno. For TMs, we got moves like Hex, Will-O-Wisp, Payback, the Sunny Day Solar Beam combo, and Mystical Fire. There's also some tutor and breeding moves like Shockwave, Clear Smog, Burning Jealousy, Poltergeist, and Skitter Smack. And for TRs, we have moves like Flamethrower, Psychic, Heat Wave, Dark Pulse, and Energy Ball. Chandelure is a great Fire and or Ghost-type Pokemon to have on your team. It is my favorite Fire and Ghost-type Pokemon from the region. But one Pokemon beat it for first place. Before we get to number 1, here's some quick honorable mentions. Good flying type, especially for being the beginner bird Pokemon of the region, but it wasn't enough to make it onto the list. Part of my first playthrough of Pokemon Black when I first got it, but I haven't really used it beyond that, so honorable mention it is. Cool Pokemon, pun intended, but I like the original cover Pokemon because I've had a lot more time with them compared to Kyurem. On here so that all the starters are at least mentioned in this video. They aren't that bad, but I haven't used either as much compared to Tepig. However, Superior gets bonus points for being an absolute boss in Pokemon Masters EX with Rosa. Cool mythical Pokemon, it was part of my starting team in White 2 because of the event. But even with taking it on my entire journey in White 2, it wasn't really used beyond that. So, honorable mention it is. Originally on the first draft of the list, but was sadly cut from the list and demoted to an honorable mention. This one was also on the first draft of the list, but like Scolipede, it was sadly cut. But just for fun, had the original intro I had planned for it.
Dude. Focus, dude. Dude. Oh, he lives. Hey, dude!
Feraligatr isn't the only top croc around here. Pokemon with draws strong enough to crush an automobile, Krookodile takes my number 1 spot. Krookodile's been a part of a few teams of mine, with the first time I used it being in Pokemon Y, and then later in one of the Moon games. Both times, it was one of my best Pokemon on the team. With a high attack and speed, this Pokemon can really pack a punch. Then there's the abilities, where Intimidate can lower the opponent's attack. Then there's the one I try to go for, Moxie. No, not that kind of Moxie, the ability Moxie. With Moxie, every time Krookodile defeats an opponent, it raises the attack stat, which can give it that bit of an extra hit. but given the amount of weaknesses it has trouble taking a hit. But it does have 2 immunities, so that's a plus. Now, let's get to the attacks. From level up, we have moves like Bite, Dig, Crunch, Sandstorm, Sand Tomb, Foul Play, Thrash, Earthquake, and Outrage. For TMs, we got moves like Rock Slide, Revenge, Mega Punch, Payback, Shadow Claw, Mega Kick, Thunder Fang, Fire Fang, Bulldoze, Low Sweep, Brutal Swing, and Stomping Tantrum. There's also some breeding and tutor moves like Aqua Tail, Counter, Double Edge, Lash Out, Scale Shot, Scorching Sands, and Skitter Smack. And for TRs, we have moves like Low Kick, Sludge Bomb, Dragon Claw, Superpower, Iron Tail, Close Combat, Stone Edge, Darkest Lariat, Throat Chop, and High Horsepower. A lot of these moves can make Crocodile a dangerous Pokemon to go up against. And with my experience, it has certainly earned the spot as my favorite Pokemon for all of Unova. And that's my list. Hope you enjoyed. Have a different opinion? Leave your favorites in the comments below. And until next time, see ya!